November is a particularly intense month. With the sun in the sign of Scorpio for a majority of the month, we are required to traverse the underworld, face our demons, and confront things that we've swept under the rug and have kept unattended and locked in the closet for a long time. While this may be scary and frightening, it is most definitely necessary, particularly for us to find our good fortune and our abundance and prosperity. For you, Gemini, this month is all about health and work. You guys have a lot of nervous energy and are worried and are experiencing a lot of anxiety and nervousness, perhaps as a result of overextending yourself. It's time for you to take a deep look at how you relate to others, particularly those that you provide services to, in order to truly understand what it means to be in a reciprocal relationship. Are you ready to take that dive? All right, let's go. What's up, Gemini? I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. As always, my name is Mel and welcome to my channel, Divine Feminine Works. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. This channel is everything tarot, astrology, and spirituality. So if those are the things that interest you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, Gemini, this is going to be the astro forecast and taroscope for the month of November 2020. The month is well underway, and I really hope that so far the month has been kind to you. Of course, we've been experiencing a lot of intensity given the fact that we are in Scorpio season, but it's nothing that we can't handle. It's nothing we're not used to. So let's talk about November generally. Like I said, for the majority of the month, the sun is in the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio generally is, like I said, an intense sign. It's all about getting to the truth of the matter. It's all about diving deep under the surface. It's about trust, loyalty, obsession, jealousy, emotional wounds, repressed emotions, mystery, power. Scorpio is a very complex sign. And a lot of times it's really difficult to just pinpoint one thing to sort of categorize as Scorpio. But nonetheless, the theme of this month, and this theme is so heavy and it's so ever present, is this theme of death and rebirth. Scorpio, that's one of the characteristics of Scorpio, is the phoenix rising from the ashes. But before you can rise from the ashes, you have to be set ablaze. It's sort of this destruction and then construction energy that we've been experiencing this month. And with the theme of death and rebirth comes this notion of communing with the spirit realm. A lot of cultures designate November as the month and as the time of the year when they venerate their ancestors and when the veil is the thinnest so that communication with spirit flows a lot easier. So there's a lot of information and there's a lot of communication possibilities at our disposal right now. And all of that is really geared towards helping us move forward, especially when we're talking about ancestors, right? You have to know where you've been in order to know where you're going. And that sort of ancestors really play into that, particularly in the sense that they can see far beyond what we can, being that they are in the spirit realm. So being able to commune with them during this time is super important because it also sort of lights your path and sort of gives you a very comprehensive view of sort of what's to come and what to expect. So November is a very powerful month. But again, let's get back into this theme of death and rebirth. A lot of us have been focused on, and our consciousness has been directed towards endings. We just had a new moon in the sign of Scorpio. And although I'm going to get to it more in a second, I just want to say that I feel like the energy of this new moon is very emblematic of November as a whole. So new moons are all about new beginnings, right? It's about that time where we plant new seeds, we set intentions, and we start anew. After all, the new moon phase is the start of the lunation cycle. So it's the very beginning. But being that we're in Scorpio season, and Scorpio season is all about death and rebirth, I feel like this particular new moon wasn't so much focused on new beginnings as it was focused more on endings. Because there are a lot of endings serve a very important purpose. I know that a lot of times endings and death, it's very morbid, it's very melancholy, and it sort of has this negative connotation to it. But think of it this way. Endings usher in new beginnings. You have to have that death. You have to have that ending in order to have something new, in order to have the space available for new things to come in. Along the same lines, you may be familiar with the phrase, you have to go through hell in order to get to heaven. And that's also very symbolic of Scorpio season. It's basically us traversing the underworld. And with Pluto being associated with Scorpio and Pluto being the sign of death, being the sign of the underworld. In Greek mythology, Pluto is directly associated with Hades, the god of the underworld. There is this journey through the underworld that we're all undergoing during November, during Scorpio season in particular. And it's not just because we have to endure hardship or we have to, you have to have negative in order to balance out the positive. While that is true, really what it is it is our way to get to heaven. If you think about the zodiac wheel, and again, I mentioned all of this in my new moon in Scorpio video, which I'm actually going to put the link above so that you guys can check that out. If you think about the zodiac wheel is modeled after ancient Egyptian mythology. And in ancient Egyptian mythology, the sun, it rises in the east and sets in the west. But once it sets in the west, before it rises in the east again, it was believed that the sun actually traversed the underworld. So when the sun rises, it's high in the sky, we can all see it, but when it sets, it goes into the underworld in order to be reborn and rise again the next morning. There's a lot that can be learned, there's a lot that can be gained from traversing the underworld. And the underworld is not literally, it's not your typical like cartoon notion of hell, right? It's not fire and brimstone. The underworld may be repressed emotions. It may be people, places, and things that aren't of our highest good. Things that we need to detach from, right? By traversing the underworld, by actually going through it, processing it, and learning, shedding, and mourning the loss of it, we're able to rise again the next day and shine brighter than before. And that is what November is all about for all of us. For you, Gemini, there is a heavy emphasis on your 6th house during the month of November. We've got, the 6th house is Scorpio for you guys. So the 6th house, we've got the sun in Scorpio, which is the majority of November. We've got Mercury in Scorpio. We had that new moon in Scorpio, which just happened a couple of days ago. And by the end of the month, Venus is going to be transiting into Scorpio. So you've got 4 happenings, 4 planets in your 6th house. And the 6th house governs work and health. Work meaning the service that you provide for others. Whether you deal with customers, whether you deal with clients, whether you deal with co-workers, and sort of your day-to-day responsibilities. It also governs health. Health matters, your body. So there is a heavy emphasis on that sector of your life this month. And I have to say, when I was shuffling the cards for you and sort of getting prepared to do this video for you guys, I started to feel very uneasy. I started to get stomach pains. And I started to feel very anxious. And I felt very nervous. And this is actually This is actually my third time trying to do your video because I kept getting interrupted. Either the dog was barking or the bell rang or the garage door was opening. It's like I kept getting interrupted. And I feel like that's what's been going on for you guys this month. I feel you guys have a lot of nervous energy, particularly with Mercury being in your 6th house of work and health. Mercury is all about like your nervous system. And the 6th house is really where you feel stress. So you guys are feeling a lot of stress this month, a lot of anxiety. I feel like you guys are having problems committing to things. I'm not saying commitment in the sense of like relationships. I'm talking about, let's say you have a task at hand. Maybe there's a report that you have to do, but you keep getting interrupted. You can't just sit unbothered and do what it is you need to do. You keep getting interrupted. It's causing you nervousness. It's causing anxiety. It's causing uneasiness. That's sort of how you guys are feeling this month. And also with this heavy 6th house energy, it's really important with respect to what you guys ingest. This house particularly has a lot to do with your digestive system. And I'm not talking about just the food that you eat, although you should be very cognizant of what you're eating. If you're eating too much salt or sugar or whatever, you know, you definitely want to regulate your digestive system and pay closer attention to it now with the 6th house emphasis that you have this month. But it's also about what you ingest, like mentally. What are you watching? Who are you following? Who do you listen to? What are you allowing to enter your mental space? That could also be contributing to your anxiety. So yeah, you guys are feeling a bit uneasy this month, particularly with this heavy Scorpio energy and this emphasis on endings. This can really have you guys feeling anxious and nervous. So try your best to mitigate your stress to the best that you can. Again, it's all about what you're ingesting. So if you find that you are jumpy, if you find that you're anxious, maybe sitting and watching the news every day is not the best thing for you. Maybe you need to take extra measures and precautions so that you can get your tasks done unbothered and uninterrupted. Set boundaries so that people can't tamper with your mind. They can't tamper with your food. They can't tamper with whatever you're doing so that you can be productive and you can de-stress. I feel like that is going to be a big emphasis for you this month. But in any event, let's get into the month as a whole and see what the astrology is for you guys, all right? So, like I said, this month, Scorpio season, all about endings, all about death and rebirth, right? And I feel like for a lot of you, this may have to do with a health issue. That might also be why you guys are very like worried and anxious. There may be a health issue that has come to the surface at this point in order to be worked on for good, in order to find an actual resolution, in order to find a permanent solution to a health issue. Again, that could also cause a lot of stress for you guys, but that could also be how this might play out. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back into sort of the monthly breakdown. So one of the major happenings this month happened back on the 12th. And that was an exact conjunction between Pluto and Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, for the last couple of months, I've been talking about this great conjunction. And the great conjunction is a conjunction between Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. These three planets are all occupying the same space. They're all very close to each other. Their energies are mixing and mingling. And this energy is what's partly to blame for a lot of the upheaval, turmoil, and chaos that we have been experiencing here in society and in our personal lives, wherever this is related, wherever this is sitting in your chart. You know, things eventually have to die. Things eventually have to crumble. And that is what Scorpio season is teaching us. And it's really interesting how this is playing alongside this great conjunction, because this great conjunction is all about dismantling things on a very large scale that no longer serve us. We are entering into a new age, a new era. So a lot of the things that we're used to, a lot of the things that we are accustomed to have to crumble. They have to fall. And that is what the job of this great conjunction is. So that being the case, what does this exact conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto have to do with anything? So like I said, This great conjunction has been very chaotic, very tumultuous. We've experienced a lot of intense sort of negative energy. I feel like we're sort of passing that stage now, and now we're entering into the stage of rebuilding. And this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction is sort of like the start of that. It's a very fortuitous aspect. Both Jupiter and Pluto are direct. And when you put them together, you get this positive energy that's very much amplified. Jupiter is all about abundance, optimism, faith, good fortune, all of that great stuff. And Pluto is such a heavy and intense planet, it almost amplifies anything that it touches. So you've got this amplification of like good, positive energy. But also, this conjunction is really about hidden treasure. Remember I said Pluto is associated with Hades, the god of the underworld. It's also associated with the underworld. So there's this energy of finding this abundance, this treasure, this good fortune in the underworld. Do you see where I'm going with all of this? Like I said before, Scorpio season is about traversing the underworld, right? And with the presence of Jupiter conjunct Pluto, we are able to find our abundance, our treasure in the underworld. You have to go. You have to go. It's scary. It's frightening. You'd rather not do it. For some of us, it's about addressing emotional wounds that we've had since childhood, that we haven't addressed, that we haven't given attention to. And it's like Scorpio season is really forcing you to do that. I mean, granted, you always have free will, so you have the option to not do it. But, you know, then again, you're not going to find your treasure. You're not going to find your abundance and your good fortune. So if you dare to really go deep, dive deep, and like open this closet that has been closed for like many years, you are going to find something very valuable. And it's not necessarily going to be something tangible. It's not going to be actual gold. It's not going to be money. It may be information that could lead to money. It could be information. It could be an idea. It could be an understanding, a consciousness that you could use going forward that's really going to help you make bank. It's going to help you have better relationships, whatever. But you get what I'm trying to say. So that was back on the 12th. So that energy is available to us now. So even after Scorpio season ends, I really do urge you to really go into the underworld. Go there, because that is where you're going to find your treasure. All right. So then the following day on November 13th, we had Mars finally going direct in the sign of Aries. Mars has been in Aries since June, and it's spending a full 6 months in the sign of Aries. For you, Gemini, that is your 11th house of friendship and goals, right? So when it comes to being social, when it comes to interacting with people, when it comes to associating with people, when it comes to working on goals, the 11th house is also like the wish upon a star house. It's almost like having those big dreams and goals that you want to fulfill. It's also wishes come true. So it's more than just about wishing on a star. It's having that wish granted as well. You had that turbo boost of energy from Mars in Aries since June, right? And Aries is Mars' home sign. So the energy of Mars is super potent. Mars energy is about get up and go. It's about action. So you guys have actually been feeling like you want to take action towards interacting with people, being social, going after your dreams, dreaming big. All of that stuff has been going on for you since June. However, in September, Mars ended up going retrograde. So Mars energy was recalled. It was sluggish. It was slow. It wasn't giving you that vim and vigor in order to, socialize with people and do all of that like 11th house stuff. But now that it's gone direct, now that energy is coming back. It's resurging. So now you have this surge of energy to socialize, to work on your goals, to dream big, to make plans, all of that stuff. All right. And then on the 15th, we had the new moon in Scorpio, which again, I'm going to put the link to the video, my new moon in Scorpio video, so you can check that out. Again, this new moon was more so about endings than beginnings. And with this being in your 6th house, I really feel like for you, Gemini, it had a lot to do with a health situation or work situation that you really needed to dive deep, go under the surface and see what no longer serves you. Maybe there's a task that you're doing that really isn't of your highest good. You're doing something for others, but it's really not doing anything for you. Maybe now is the time to end that and get rid of that. For others of you, this may have to do with a health issue. You may notice what now, what you can't eat, what you shouldn't eat, what you should eat, maybe new health regimens. Talking about maybe cutting sugar, maybe cutting fat, maybe cutting carbs out of your diet. All of that stuff comes up for review under this new moon. So again, I'll put the link to that video so you can check that out. All right, moving right along. This coming Saturday on November 21st, we have the sun moving into the sign of Sagittarius. So for you, Gemini, once the sun moves into Sagittarius, it's like your consciousness and your focus is going to shift as well. And it's going to shift towards relationships because the sun in Sagittarius is going to be in your 7th house of relationships. So now, once Sagittarius season hits, I feel like hopefully you'll be able to manage your stress and not be so stressed out. And you'll focus more on the people that you have around you, the people that you relate to, maybe your business partnerships and business dealings. The 7th house covers relationships of all kinds, but more so one-to-one relationships. So once the sun moves into Sagittarius, that's where your focus is going to go. But I'll get more into that in my Sagittarius season videos next month. And then that same day on the 21st, Venus is going to be moving into your 6th house of work and health. Like I said, y'all have a really heavy emphasis on the 6th house. And that is going to be really more so, I believe, when it comes to work, because Venus is about value, it's about relationships, and particularly the 6th house is the work that you do for others, the service that you provide to others. Is that reciprocal, or do you feel like you're overextending yourself to people? Given that this is Scorpio season is going to show you where there's going to be inequality in those relationships, where you're overextending yourself, or maybe where you're not extending yourself enough. Venus likes harmony. She likes equality. She likes value, and relationships are valuable when they are reciprocal. So that might be an area where you guys might want to spend some time thinking about and reflecting on to see where you are just overextending yourself, where you're not extending yourself enough, whether you're providing services to people that are of value, or is there some sort of disconnect when it comes to that. I feel like that's going to be one of the major ways that Venus and Scorpio plays out for you guys. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but Mercury is also in your 6th house this month as well. And Mercury in Scorpio is about speaking your truth. It's about speaking substantively also. It's not just about superficial conversations, gossip, and petty bullshit. Mercury in Scorpio is about getting to the heart of the matter, getting to the truth, sort of bearing your soul in a sense, and speaking from a place of authenticity and realness. And being that this is in your 6th house, I feel like when it comes to a health issue, if you are doing any sort of work, if you are focusing on improving your health, then you need to speak honestly, particularly if you are speaking to a healthcare professional. Now is not the time to be like, oh, well, maybe, it hurts a little bit. No, if you're in pain every day, then fucking say that. You know what I mean? Like, be open and honest. You cannot get to the truth if you're not speaking substantively. So that's also how Mercury in Scorpio plays out as well for you. And then finally, we close out the month with a bang because we have a full moon lunar eclipse in your sign of Gemini. So full moons normally illuminate, right? It's when the moon is completely lit up. And full moons do one of two things, or both in some senses. On one hand, they show you the culmination of work that has been done. So if you had planted new seeds, particularly back in May of this year. So if you planted new seeds back in May around the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, around that time, you may see the culmination of that work. Maybe given the fact that this is happening in your 1st house, it may have been a personal goal, a personal desire. If we're also talking about health, the 1st house also covers your body, right? So maybe at that time you had started a new workout plan, a new, diet or anything like that, anything to alter your appearance in a positive way, now you're going to see the results of it. Maybe, you did really well and you lost a lot of weight or gained weight, whatever you plan on doing. Or maybe it's showing you that you really kind of fell off from that and now it's time to get back on it, On the other hand, full moons illuminate things that have been in the dark. So anything that's been hidden, anything that has been obscured is going to come to light under the light of the full moon. And for you, being that this is the first house, there may be something about your body. I'm getting a lot of health issues for you guys this month. There may be a health issue that is going to be uncovered. Perhaps you've been feeling a lot of different symptoms, and now finally you're going to be able to pinpoint exactly what's been wrong with you, what's been going wrong, what hasn't been working in your body. Eclipses, full moon lunar eclipses are like full moon on steroids. The energy is super potent. So much so that in ancient civilizations, there was a lot of fear associated with eclipses because the energy was just so potent and crazy. Even in the spiritual community, a lot of people will say, don't do any like full moon rituals or new moon rituals during an eclipse because the energy is just super crazy and intense. Regardless, the point of eclipses is to move things around in your life. Put things that need to be there, take out things that need to go. And with a full moon lunar eclipse, things are going to be eclipsed out of your life. Given that this is happening in your first house, Gemini, this is all going to have to do with you personally, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a certain attitude that you have about things or a certain outlook or perspective that you have on life. This is sort of going to be eradicated out of your life in sort of an abrupt fashion to make room for all of the stuff that you need, for all of the stuff that aligns with you. All right. So that is November in a nutshell. If you guys want to know more about the November astrology, I'm going to put the November 2020 horoscope link in the description box below. You can read for your sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, and really get a comprehensive view of November. All right, Gemini, so now that we've gotten the astrology out of the way, let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you this month. All right. Again, there's this, even right now, I'm feeling very anxious. I'm feeling like nervous and just jumpy. I feel like that's how you guys are feeling this month. You guys really need to take heed to your body. Really listen to your body this month. Seriously. Oh my gosh. You can't even make this up. Look at this. The first card is worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. I mean, we know this, right? We know this. Gemini and Virgo, I feel like you guys know this the most, being that you guys are ruled by Mercury. It's like, when are you not worried or jumpy or whatever? And we know that it doesn't change the outcome, but it just feels like, I say we because I'm a Virgo sun. But I feel like this is letting you know that apart from the normal worry, anxiety that Geminis and Virgos feel, this month, this is really a focus for you. And this is really something that you need to work on this month because you don't want it to get out of control. Particularly, you don't want it to get out of control so that it adversely affects your health. All right. We've got the moon. Yeah, you guys, there is this element of things not being what they seem. I think that this worry is coming from you perceiving things in a way that's not reality, because certain things have not necessarily been illuminated to you. In this deck, the moon is all about what's hidden. It's all about the shadow self. It's about facing our fears. What I'm getting right now is this is also like, you see how this looks? This is like the gateway to the underworld that you guys do not want to walk through. I feel like particularly as it has to do with a work or health issue, you guys don't want to go under the surface because you're scared and you're worried about what the outcome is going to be. But what did I say? Particularly with the conjunction between Pluto and Jupiter, it is here where you are going to find your treasure. It is here where you're going to find your good fortune and abundance. So it really behooves you to take that journey, to traverse the underworld, to really go deep where you'd rather not go. Not only to get a certain consciousness and understanding, but to find your abundance, to find your fortune. We've got communication. And what number is this? This is a 33. All right, so remember how I was saying that you have a heavy 6th house emphasis, right? And particularly that has to do with your equality in your relationships, particularly your service-oriented relationships. I feel like this month, you really need to ramp up the communication, especially with Mercury being in your 6th house. You gotta open your mouth and speak truthfully and authentically, not just superficial shit. If something bothers you, if someone is stressing you out, let's say, I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you have your own business, right? And so your 6th house energy would really cover your clients, right? The people that you provide services for. And let's say, you know, they always say the customer is right? So maybe you are bending over backwards for this particular client who is like annoying the fuck out of you, or is being disrespectful, or is monopolizing your time in a way that you can't do your work. Oh, remember how I said that you guys were constantly getting interrupted? That could be how this plays out, I'm getting right now. Like you have a customer or a client who's constantly, you know, they want more, they want this, they're very needy, right? Rather than just be like, oh, well, the customer is right, I just have to service them and keep servicing them. Maybe it's time for you to set boundaries and be like, listen, you can only ask me such and such questions, or you can only call me at such and such time. Because honestly, I feel like this person is stressing you out, which is, they are what is attributing to your worry. And now it's time for you to open your mouth and be like, listen, I understand and I thank you for your patronage, but at the same time, you need to like back the fuck off. You can't talk to me at this time. You can't do this. Like, set boundaries, communicate openly and honestly. We've got solitude. All right. Again, this is 4 and 2. This is a 6. Given that you've got that heavy 6th house energy, and the sun is going to move into your 7th house of relationships, I feel like there are for some of you, I'm getting like business relationships. I feel like there are certain business relationships that are going to fall apart, which are going to leave you in this state of solitude. I feel like you're shedding certain business relationships, certain clients, certain customers, particularly so that you can work on your health, is what I'm getting, if that makes any sense. Like, again, it's better to have like 10 quality customers than 100 customers that are driving you crazy, right? You have quality customers who respect your boundaries. You have quality people who know how to communicate with you, who patronize you regularly. It's time for you guys to shed some of those people. Some of these people that you provide services for, some of these people who are part of your day-to-day responsibilities, I feel like a lot of you are going to be shedding them. That may be what is eclipsed during this full moon eclipse. And with the presence of the moon card here, I feel like the full moon lunar eclipse, or even the new moon that just passed, is really sort of taking those people out of your life that aren't serving your highest good. We've got breathe. Yeah, some of you really need to like take a time out, especially if you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, especially if you feel like you're constantly being interrupted, you can't sit and get things done. Take some time out to breathe. Especially if you have an Apple Watch. I feel like I'm getting like, you know how the Apple Watch will tell you to breathe, and a lot of times people ignore it. I feel like if you have an Apple Watch or any sort of, wearable technology that tells you to take a break, breathe, like follow that. I feel like it'll do you some good. No. You are going to have to say no to some people. Again, I feel like this has to do with customers, clients, people that you service. Not all money is good money. Sometimes it costs you more than money to service certain people. So you need to say no. Set certain boundaries so that you can keep your sanity and your health. All right, let's get into the tarot. Yeah, look at this. We've got work. This is you working. You in your craft, you mastering your craft. So this definitely lets me know that this heavy 6th house energy for you is really intense this month. Let's get some more cards out here. There we go. We've got the High Priestess, the Goddess of Pentacles, the Devil. I'm hearing the Devil is in the details. We've got the Son of Wands. Oh, this was perfect. And then finally, we have the Seven of Pentacles. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is very indicative of Jupiter. Again, you're going to find your treasure only after you dive deep into the underworld. All right. A lot of you need to use your intuition this month. Because I feel like I was saying before, not all money is good money. And you need to use your intuition and your discernment to know who to... You see, we've got quite a few money cards here. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, the Goddess of Pentacles, and the Seven of Pentacles. So you've got money around you, right? But you also need to know which to entertain and which not to entertain. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is with your intuition. And this goes back to what you are ingesting. If you are ingesting negative information, gossip, low vibrational communication, this is going to be off. And it's not going to be able to guide you in the way that it should. Money looks good. So if you guys are worried about money, I wouldn't be, because it looks like the seeds that you've planted are going to grow. So I feel like money looks good for you, right? But I feel like you guys are like, the devil is in the details, is what I'm hearing. And that's what's keeping you sort of stuck. I feel like rather than just, you know, Gemini, you guys are very mercurial, right? So you guys are all about ideas, communication. Your mental activities are always going a mile a minute. And I feel like that is sort of what's contributing to your worry, because this is all happening. This is all playing out in your sixth house of work, of health. Striving for perfection is always a good thing. I'm not saying it's not, but I feel like you need to dial that down a little bit this month, because you're extra, I'm hearing hypertensive, hyperactive. You're extra with that, given that you have this sixth house emphasis. So you need to dial that down a bit, because some of you are like, so the sixth house is associated with Virgo, and we all know that Virgo are perfectionists, right? And they put forth so much energy into serving others and into making things just right and perfect. And you need to, again, dial that down this month. You don't need to have all of that, because you've already got this extra anxiousness and extra nervous activity going on. But yeah, you do not need to worry, because money is looking good. Money's looking very good. All right, let's get some clarification here. First, I want to get clarification on this Devil card. Okay. We've got the Four of Swords. What was I saying? Devil is in the details. You trying to make everything perfect is not working out for you. You need to dial that down, and you need to take a rest. You need to rest your mind. You really do. And you need to start working more with your emotions. Remember, I said you're going to have to use discernment in order to figure out who to associate with, who not to associate with, because not all money is good money. The only way that you're going to do that effectively is to get out of your mind, get out of your head, and get into your emotions. Get into your intuition. And that's what you need to do. I need you to not be so mercurial. Don't be so Gemini-like, and really drop down into your heart space, into your inner being, and figure out what's what, so that you can use your discernment. All right, let's get one on this Son of Wands. The Son of Wands is very fast-moving energy, and I feel like it's like you guys have been overextending yourself when it comes to work. You guys have been offering of yourself in a very passionate and fast-moving sort of way. And I feel like that is what has to be toned down this month. But let's get one on this Son of Wands. Yeah, we've got the Two of Swords. You need to stop that. You need to stop that. Like, I can't overuse this word enough. Overextending yourself. And we also have the Four of Pentacles. There's parts of you that you need to hold back. Stop giving so much of yourself right now. Again, not all money is good money. And I feel like to a certain extent, when you are overextending yourself, it's like people are feeding off your energy. If you're constantly feeding people, you're not going to have anything for yourself. So you need to hold back so that you can retain some of that goodness that you're giving so freely to other people. All right. Let's get one on the Seven of Pentacles. I want to know what seeds were planted that are like blooming right now. What are those seeds? Ooh, hoo, hoo. Nice. This is the Ten of Cups. This is like the emotional fulfillment card. This is marriage. So some of you have been planting seeds of relationships. So once we get into Sagittarius season, and now the sun is going to be in your 7th house, I think y'all are going to have some good relationship energy, some really fulfilling relationships around you, particularly if you do what I'm talking about right now. If you use your intuition and your discernment to weed out who to extend yourself to, then you're only going to attract people who have this symbiotic and equilibrium when it comes to relationship. It's going to be give and take. So you're going to have nice relationships around you. And that relates to work. It also relates to personal. So that's what you guys are working on right now. If you do this work, if you do what I'm telling you right now, when it comes to Sagittarius season, you're going to see some good relationship energy around you. Yeah, we've got the Five of Shields, and this speaks to, again, overextending yourself. By overextending yourself, it's like you guys are out in the cold. You guys are giving all of your warmth away to other people, and that's just not what you should be doing right now. Not at all. You need to recall your energy and replenish your... I'm just in the midst of saying you need to replenish your cup. And then what is at the bottom of the deck? You can't even make this up. The Ace of Cups. Y'all need to replenish your cups. So do it. Your health depends on it. All right, Gemini, let's get 3 astrology cards to close out the reading. Scorpio. 6th house. Enough said. I've spoken at length about your 6th house energy this month. So that's just letting me know that, I'm accurate. Conjunction. Jupiter and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn. This is that energy that's going to be transformative for you, but y'all have to traverse the underworld. And what is the underworld? The way that you're interacting with people. Overextending yourself may be indicative of deeper emotional issues, maybe acceptance and self-worth issues that you may need to traverse and you may need to process so that you can make the most of this conjunction energy, so that you can stop overextending yourself and stop giving so much of yourself without getting anything in return. Let's get one more here. Oops. That is way more than one more. Right, last one. Perfect. 11th house. This is where Mars in Aries is. I feel like by doing this work, it's not only going to affect your romantic relationships, your partnerships, your business partnerships, your relationship with your clients, it's also going to affect your relationship with your friends and people that you associate with. This is going to be like a complete overhaul for all of your relationships. You're going to be able to have better relationships, right? With this 10 of Cups energy. Better relationships which is ultimately going to lead to wishes come true. I feel like if you have that positive energy around you, you have people who are not just taking what you have, but also giving to you in return. This is how you set things up to flow to you, particularly those things that you really desire and that you really want. All right, Gemini, that has been your astro forecast and taroscope for the month of November 2020. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important message from this reading. If you would like to book a reading with me or order an astrology report, those links are in the description box below, so don't forget to click on those. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Divine Feminine Works. Every week I do a series called The Week Ahead where I do a quick and dirty tarot read as well as a quick and dirty astro forecast for the upcoming week. The link is in the description box below, so click on that so you can follow me there. As always, everything I do is a labor of love and comes straight from the bottom of my heart. Gemini, if you feel so inclined and would like to tip me by buying me a coffee, and trust me, tips are always appreciated, I'll leave that link in the description box as well so you can check that out. Gemini, my loves, try to take it easy this month. Try to mitigate your stress. Work on those relationships, and I feel like you are going to set yourself up for some amazing relationships. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. It is a pleasure and a privilege to read for you. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time.